Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Dragoon's Lair podcast. I am the Blue Dragoon himself, Daniel the Dragon, and with me once again is the family man himself, the incomparable James Haynes.
I'm out of this sphere again, baby.
That's right. So, folks, this week we have a wonderful set of topics for you, including the finale of Andor. So we're going to go over the entirety of Andor Season 2 and our opinions. We're going to be talking the last two episodes of Doctor Who at the time of recording this.
Yes.
And we're going to cover Backlash for WWE, but we also are going to be doing something we normally never do. We don't normally do movies that are in the theaters currently.
Yeah.
And we are going to be talking about our opinions on the Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts.
You can't use that name.
It's with a Z.
Yeah. Yeah, the new Avengers with a Z. That's why we do the Avengers with a Z. But no, so we'll be discussing that one later on. Now, first things first, there's not a lot of things that have been going on in the world of anime, but I do want to mention that they did put back the Demon Slayer movie, The Mugen Train, did go back into theaters, and at the end is a teaser, is the trailer for the first Infinity Castle movie.
Oh.
And they've been very harsh and severe there's been a leak because someone went into the theater and recorded it. They are not playing around. They are looking to press charges when it comes to finding out the people who are doing this. It's not worth it to violate the copyright for that. Eventually, it will show up in online. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be somewhere. They'll post it on their official page and stuff, so it's not worth going.
They know where to find you.
Exactly. But the good thing is we're in the middle pretty much of the spring anime season, and we've got something great to look forward to because in July there are a bunch of returning shows. Dan to Dan comes back.
Dan.
And not only that, but Sakamoto Days comes back. That's right. Not only is Sakamoto Days coming back, but we're finally getting season 4 of... I've been waiting so long for this. Rising of the Shield Hero. I love the first season. It was absolutely amazing. The second season kind of lost something because the English dub voice actor unfortunately passed away. Yeah. So it was hard. I did watch it, though, subbed, just because I couldn't get that feeling. They were able to kind of get me back in, but the story hasn't been the same. But I feel like once they get to season 4, it might actually really recapture. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's making its return, and absolutely looking forward to it, including Kaiju number 8. The second season, or part 2, however you want to put it, is coming out, and I loved Kaiju number 8 because you recently said you saw the Godzilla teaser trailer.
Yes.
And I saw it. I love it. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Godzilla and Kaiju number 8. I love giant monsters. It's just one of those things I grew up loving.
Now, speaking of trailers, we're going to talk about the first one first. Did you see the Superman trailer?
Yes. I just actually watched it earlier today, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised, but at the same time, I don't want another trailer.
No, me neither. They finally got like they did with Vision with the Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yep.
They showed a full metamorpho. Okay, that's it. Don't show anymore. You already showed what you got to do.
They showed. I feel like they were almost on the verge of showing too much. I do not want to see another trailer for it, primarily because I feel like they're going to give too much away. The teaser was great. We got a little snippets here and there. This is giving a little bit more of what the world is going to be like. I feel like this is it. Do not do another trailer.
Exactly.
Now, I do want to thank the people that did go and responded to some of the shorts, and one of them, they did say that they would sign a petition, so we might have to make a petition for the theaters to bring back intermission.
Yes.
And I think that actually might be a worthy petition because the movies are getting longer and longer, and you're going to run out of snacks. You want a bathroom break.
And you don't want stale popcorn.
No. And that's the thing. So it makes more sense. It's like, especially, most of the movie theaters, especially if they have the fountain drinks that you refill, you have your cup. You can go back and refill. You can't really do that when you're not in an intermission. Mm-hmm. And if you're paying for the popcorn bucket already, you might as well be able to go back and actually get a refill.
Like, yep, refill.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's a little more work, but it would definitely keep people in the theaters longer. So they would spend more money on snacks. They're going to want to be there longer because they know there's the intermission. So they're going to want to pay for their seats because they want to guarantee good seating and everything. So it makes sense. And I want to thank everybody who has liked those videos and has responded, because I honestly, it's like, I didn't think about actually starting a petition, but I'm kind of debating on if we should get a petition going.
I'd rather do that than a GoFundMe.
Well,
A moment.
But yeah, no. So we've got that's one of those things where it's like really great. At the time of recording this, we are a few days away from Danielle's show. So if you're seeing this on the day of release on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and any of your other podcasting platforms, if you're seeing this and you're in the New York area, you can still get your tickets because it is on Sunday the 18th, and it's at 6 o'clock. From what it looks like, it's about an hour and a half show. So I definitely would love to see people out there and support Danielle. So make sure you guys check this out. This episode is dropping at the very beginning of the day. I usually drop these episodes at like 12:05 a.m. So with 12:05 a.m. coming out on your podcasting platforms, outside of YouTube, of course, you will be able to go and you'll hear this. So hopefully you guys are checking this out. And if you do go and you see the show, let us know what you think and send us an email at...
What is our email?
dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com.
Oh,
baby.
Yeah.
The baby's not part of the actual email address, but no. So, yeah. So now let's talk Doctor Who.
Yes.
So these last 2 episodes, I love the fact that Ruby Sunday came back.
Yes.
Bringing back that character and expanding things and not really having the Doctor in this, but it had that reminiscent feel of the horrible boyfriend coming back because he's scamming something. We kind of had a little bit of that with David Tennant when we were dealing with some of his companion stuff. I mean, Mickey wasn't bad, but at the same time, he had his little jealous fits. But it was actually, I would actually compare it more to the first introduction of Donna, where her fiance was actually in league with an alien to destroy the planet.
Let me tell you something. This guy, Ruby fell in, this kid. He just basically tried to just lured her in, blinded her with love. And the next thing you know, he's trying to pocket this good luck, as it was, with scamming everybody and showing off that this company here is a hoax, they're a jinx, your doctors are nobody, these guys are useless.
Yeah, it was all a matter of spreading a conspiracy theory when he doesn't want to believe in that aliens are real, the stuff that's going on, and UNIT is actually there for a purpose, and he wants to get them defunded, he wants to ruin everything. It really was one of those things where it's very relatable because people fall into those conspiracy traps all the time.
And then the best part was when he's in jail and then he meets it's like, where am I? Oh, hi.
Oh, yeah,
how are you?
Mrs. Flood.
Not only Mrs. Flood, the governor, but he gets to meet the doctor. And the doctor, without giving off this many letter words, he basically told him, don't mess with any of my friends anymore. I will find you, and I will come get you.
Yeah.
But you know what? Rotten hell in jail.
The thing was, the funny part was, though, like, the doctor basically uses a line from his wife. Spoilers. Because we did have a spoiler there because he didn't know he hadn't already met his new companion, the nurse.
Yep.
So it's one of those things, and it is funny how his new companion really kind of falls in line. He started off like Tennant with Rose, and so now you got Ruby Sunday, you got the young blonde, and then medical student. So he went for one that's a nurse, and when he was still Tennant with Martha Jones, she was studying to be a doctor herself.
Yes.
So there's a lot of parallels that have been going on. And then you get the latest episode at the time of us recording this. That was just
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing in. I give him props for bringing in and giving kudos to all the doctors. I mean, you can't deny that. That was actually amazing. And making himself the center of that universe instead of that freaking barbershop where everybody, oh, you need a haircut again. Come on.
Oh, no, but I love the fact that they went and it was pretty much kind of the god of stories almost.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw like what they were doing, and I was like, I had a feeling they were going to use the name Anansi. And I know the Anansi legends kind of from originally, as a kid watching Static Shock from his trip to Africa and stuff. But then it's like, you know, what was it? I'm blanking on the name of the show that creator of Sandman.
Oh, what do you call Gaiman?
Yes, Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman.
American Gods.
Yes.
Thank you. I needed a little bit of the train of thought to just...
Which is on Stars.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's only like 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It got canceled, but you can read the book. But I don't know if they're going to want to continue anything because we've heard some problematic things about Neil Gaiman lately. So it's...
And they just launched season 2 of Sandman on Netflix. Also.
Yeah, Sandman it's getting its 2nd season, and that's it.
I still have to watch the second episode from the first season.
Well, not only that, but also now just to jump right back in.
Yes,
but they did go, and on Netflix they just did drop. What was it? Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
So there's another that's animated, so that should be an interesting one for season 4. But back to Doctor Who, I mean, seeing that he had the fugitive doctor in there where he kind of transforms almost because it was, I believe, Anansi's daughter. And so seeing like the weaving of the stories, but the mythology behind all of the story gods and the trickster gods, that the barber is kind of giving himself like the names and pretending to be all these people. And yet the doctor's already met all of these gods. And he's had experiences with them.
He's played poker with them. He's had feasts with them.
And that's one of the coolest things is that they did that, especially with, like, they interwove a little bit of history there by the fact that Anansi's daughter, she's braiding his hair and basically making a map in his hair, which was an amazing piece of actual history of things that were done to hide hidden messages, hide secret routes of escaping. And like, this was like really amazing that they went as in depth as they did. And I love the fact that this episode, just standing on its own, we didn't have any real hints for like Mrs. Flood or anything else. This was pretty much a standalone. And having short seasons, usually you don't get some standalone episodes, but this one really was amazing. And I love the image of like the giant mechanical spider like climbing along the web of stories and everything.
It's amazing how they interwoven history in there. They had in his last season they interwoven the Beatles, and with one of Jodie's seasons they introverted Rosa Parks. So I like how they introverted history into more and getting people.
Well, they've been doing this for the longest time, because when Doctor Who first initially came out, it was actually supposed to be an educational kids show of them traveling through time and space. So, you know, they did the cavemen back in like the very beginning.
In black and white.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they really went, and it's evolved so much, and I think the Disney money has definitely helped up the production value.
That and even having BBC supported as well.
Well, BBC always supported it, but this is now Disney threw their hat in. So being able to watch it on Disney Plus, you know, it's not like watching it on BBC America and everything, but you are getting to see the episodes, and I love what they're doing. And I'm so curious to see where the whole thing is going with Mrs. Flood. It's on the verge of like being there. So it's like we know the date is coming, because towards the end of the month, we know that episode is coming up, and it becomes a two-parter for the ending.
Yes.
So we're going to see how this whole thing with the gods and Mrs. Flood plays out. So now we had Star Wars Day, and
Amen.
Andor was giving us 3 episodes a week, and Andor recently just finished.
Yes.
So now Andor is one of those shows that it's very slow at times, and it picks up, but the first season was a challenge.
Yeah.
The second season has been a lot easier to watch, even though the episodes are pretty long, but it does give you plenty of information, and it's a lot of background building.
It's basically have Cassian Andor as the main character just on the title, but it's Lucian, it's Mon Mothma, it's the Empire and everything. And now they've gone this year with Krashik, I believe his name was. That's Ben Mendelsohn, his character.
I think so. It's hard to like keep track with all the characters.
And like you said, for everybody to understand something here, everybody thinks that everybody knows Star Wars is good and evil. Andor is the only part of the Star Wars universe that is no winner, no loser. It's just a straight edge story, linking everything
well,
together.
The thing that most people don't realize is, you know, like another Star Wars show did come out, which was Tales of the Underworld. We've already had Tales of the Jedi. We had Tales of the Sith. Now we've got Tales of the Underworld.
Or the Sonny Ventress and Cad Bane. Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of Star Wars stuff come up. And the problem that a lot of people seem to have when it comes to Star Wars, a lot of people just love the Skywalker family and they want to stick with that story. So when you veer off from it, it can throw some people off. But there's so many other stories to tell.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, like I don't think it got like the hate that it got was completely wrong for what was the other show we were discussing, Star Wars?
The Acolyte.
Yep. The Acolyte was building on something, and it was so far in the past that I believe it should have continued, but unfortunately, because fan backlash, because people don't understand,
it was canceled.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like Andor was never going to get canceled.
No.
Because it was not made for a long run.
No.
Now, it dealt with a lot of issues of the rebellion, but also the tactics that the Empire was using to gain minerals, but also to sow dissension on a planet. It was the using rebels to go and actually feed their cause while also feeding misinformation. There was so much intrigue going on, but if you weren't paying attention, you missed a lot of things.
Now, let me ask you, it's funny you mentioned that episode, and Gorham. Does Gorham ring any bells to you? Anything familiar to you on anything?
Not really.
I'm going to make you laugh.
Go ahead.
I'm going to make you laugh because even one of my friends, special hello to Tyler, the color creator, because that's what he does in Hollywood.
Okay.
And everything, but we both agree on something.
All right.
If you look at the Goran language, doesn't it sound a little French to you?
I thought it was.
Okay, right. All right, that's one. But number two, that episode, it started giving off Les Mis. The whole thing of like that.
I've never seen Les Mis.
Les Mis is about the French Revolution.
I know what Les Mis is about. I just never saw it.
It just gave that feeling and everything on it. So that's one thing that made me. I'm like, holy. Well, both of us agreed on. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
They Les Mis this, but getting back to it, it actually, like you said, it came to attach everything that it could.
I mean, when they were
We needed to bring
dealing
ourselves
with
to Rogue One.
dealing with the battle on Gorham and them getting the droid. So it was great seeing Alan Tudyk back. It's like you don't hear him until the very end of like the next episode after.
It's not only that; it's how they got him too. His origin was like he's chasing him like as a brainless droid.
Oh yeah,
Imperial droid, and then not only brainless. They were fierce, strong droids, which basically. All they had to do was this, and the guy went about 50 yards down the field.
Well, you saw, like, they were giant-sized because they weren't your typical average, like, humanoid shape because the extra long arms, the extra long legs. One smack and you went flying, but one kick sent you flying, too. So it really was, like, the extra distance that you had with, like, the wingspan and everything. It just works so well, and Alan Tudyk does such a phenomenal job.
His voice, I mean, between that and his acting is phenomenal.
Well, he also did the mocap for it.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely brilliant.
But I'll tell you, what even made me chuckle too also, did you notice that, all right, you had the stormtroopers, but then you had these rookie soldiers, and what are they in? They're in stormtrooper regalia. No helmets. But their hats and everything, but no helmets.
They've got Empire hats, but no helmets. That riot shields.
Yes. Really?
The fact that it was a riot shield and it still had like the plexiglass that you could see through, I was just like, the funniest thing to me though was they're wearing helmets. They did have helmets on, just not stormtrooper helmets. Mm-hmm. And when they started that entire attack, their own the Empire shoots one of the guys in the head, but he shoots the helmet. So, did he kill him? Did he just knock him out? Because their blasters all have different settings. They have a stun. Yeah. They have like a full penetration mode. Yep. So you're like, what level did they get to on this one? And I was just like, did they just knock him out? Like, they could have just knocked him out, not killed their own guy, but you know, I know I'm using the K word. Ooh, so if this becomes a clip, it's like we'll get hit with the algorithm because, it happens every time we talk about certain things. And the funny thing is, we don't show anything here. No. So this makes me laugh with the algorithm that we have to go through, fighting with all the different like features for different platforms where you say one wrong thing and you don't get pushed or you get suppressed, or you all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're going to put you 18 plus. Or outside of my language, because I know I curse more than you do.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but it's like, I know I have a foul mouth at times and I'm not kid friendly, but at the same time, kids have heard
You're
worse.
Not kid friendly? No.
Really? No.
I know.
Well, listen, we're not doing anything that's out of the ordinary, nothing extreme. We're not showing anything, so we're not violating any copyright. No. We're having a legitimate discussion on this stuff.
Yes.
And it makes me laugh because, you can have tons of Star Wars conversations, but when you start talking about certain things, it becomes like, oh, no, it's too intense. It's like, it's Star Wars. Get a grip.
Yes.
But no, so Andor really set themselves apart from a lot of the other Star Wars stories. And by the end of Andor, I don't know if you felt the way I did, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, I was ready to start watching Rogue One again. But at the same time, I also kind of was like, can we get the characters from Solo now follow like Han Solo's former wife, like follow those characters that we got in the Solo movie? Like, you have all these characters, you can flesh them out. If you could do this for Rogue One, you could definitely do it for Solo. You could pick something else, and like, because I know they want to keep doing more and more, but in all honesty, I really I have one thing I want to see from Star Wars. Just one. I want Knights of the Old Republic. I want a Revan story. I think Revan was one of those characters that they could tell the story. We know it will never involve the Skywalkers, so why not? You can tell this story.
Rogue One didn't even involve the Skywalker. Well, maybe until the end of the movie, but it didn't involve the Skywalker.
Although, you got to admit, what is it? Lucen, like, his
Yeah.
assistant, did she give off, like, similar to, like, Leia vibes with a little bit of Padme?
Even Kip. But did you notice what Kip had in her hand in the farm field?
Oh, yeah.
Andor's son.
Yep.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, so it's like his legacy will live on even after Rogue One.
Yep.
Which, spoilers, if you didn't know, no one makes it out of Rogue One.
Excuse me, it's Biggs. It's Biggs, that's right. That's her name.
Yeah. But it's, nobody makes it out of, like, everyone who...
the only people that made it out of Rogue One was...
Anybody who wasn't on the suicide mission.
Anybody that wasn't on that planet, exactly.
Yep.
Anybody not on that planet.
Because it was basically a suicide run.
And or that didn't get caught in that rebel and the Empire ambush there.
But you know what? For me, it will always like tied with me. Like Rogue One has the equivalency pretty much of Mass Effect 2, which I love the game because the final mission is a suicide run. You could lose some characters. Everyone could survive. Nobody could survive. It's the way the game plays out, and it's one of those things where that's the kind of feeling that I got for it. You felt the stakes of the characters, and I think going back and watching Rogue One after Andor, you're going to feel more for the characters. It's not just, oh, here's the mission that was able to get the plans for the Death Star. No, this built up to the history leading up to the Battle of Yavin, which that's why it was BBY, and the years keep changing.
And the reason why, I know they would go a year later after every episode, but also
not every episode, but usually like every 3 episodes. Yes. The year like kept moving forward, getting closer and closer to Rogue One.
But it also, they also made you understand for Rogue One about Jeddah, why he had to go to Jeddah.
Yep.
And everything.
Yeah. So. Now, let's talk. We got to talk Backlash because WWE had another pay-per-view, and my Peacock subscription was still valid, at least for another week. So I was able to watch Backlash, and I enjoyed it. I know that there were mixed feelings because it's not WrestleMania. It's not one of the major PLEs. So because of the fact that it's only 5 matches, I enjoyed it. So, let's go over the matches. And they started off...
Fatal 4-Way.
Yep.
With, not Solo, excuse me. Jacob Fatu. Damian Priest.
Drew McIntyre.
LA Knight and Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was happy with the way things went, but I don't know the guy that they brought in.
The guy he brought, I'll fill you in.
Okay.
I'll make you laugh.
Go ahead, because I know he's not Samoan. That's the one thing I know.
He's Hawaiian.
He may be Hawaiian, but I thought he was Filipino.
Well, Jeff Cobb is probably Filipino.
Yeah.
He's a Filipino American.
Yeah, but he was born, I know, Filipino descent, born, though, in Hawaii, but not part of, the Anawahi.
He's not
the
part
bloodline
of the
family. So, yeah.
So, but, you remember Lucha Underground, right?
Very little. I lost the channel at one point, because it was El Rey, and then the El Rey network just kind of disappeared.
Yes. Do you remember the second season where?
Nope.
No, you don't remember when?
No, which I'm upset that I didn't watch more of Lucha Underground because I've seen the clips and the highlights of Chelsea Green versus Penta, so I'm like, that intergender fight looks amazing. So I'm just like, all right, you know what? I'm a little disappointed I didn't, but we'll see how.
You got to try to find it even on YouTube. I'll tell you, it is not something that I wouldn't give it because it was good. I give Robert Rodriguez and what's his name from Survivor good credit for doing this.
Yeah, listen, the El Rey Network, the only thing that bothered me was seeing the interview because you remember Robert Rodriguez was interviewing directors, and I was not a fan when he went and spoke to Quentin Tarantino. because Tarantino sat there and basically insulted his audience without insulting his audience, because I don't think they caught it, because this was right before The Hateful Eight comes out. Talks about how, I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but they went and he brings up how, you know, for Pulp Fiction, he did things out of order because the audience was smart enough that they would piece together, oh, this was when this happened, so this is where this overlaps. And then he puts out The Hateful Eight. And what does he do in The Hateful Eight? He gives a narrative where you hear him voice over that she was poisoning the coffee. And I'm sorry, it was clear as day. The audience should be smart enough to get this. But apparently, your audience went from smart enough to piece things together in Pulp Fiction, and you're basically saying people are dumber now because nobody got that. And I feel like Tarantino, as a director, has done some amazing work, but I feel like he's kind of lost sight on certain things.
That's why he retired and he's stuck at 9. He won't have a double-digit film. If you notice that.
He's trying, he wants the 10.
Everybody wants him for the 10.
He wants to do 10, but who knows if it's ever going to happen. And the thing is, Robert Rodriguez, great filmmaker, but he knows where he belongs with what he does, and he knows what he does best. I feel like Tarantino, he's got a good range for stuff, but I think he also has too much of an ego of thinking too highly of himself, especially when he thought he could have done a better job directing Scream than Wes Craven. And I'm sorry, but he lost respect points from me. And I mean major respect points, because Wes Craven
was a horror guy.
Not even just that. Wes Craven, as a director overall, was an influence in me wanting to study films.
How many franchises does he have under his belt?
Oh my God.
2, Nightmare and Scream?
No. Remember, there are others. He's done so many other movies.
No other movie, but those are his 2 major bread and butter.
Yes, but people still remember The Hills Have Eyes.
Yes, that's right, another one.
You also have to realize he did some that were more underground, Deadly Friend. But for him to go and agree to do some of the movies, I forget which movie it was that he was like, I'll do this, but I want to do something outside of horror. And what did he do? He did Music of the Heart.
Yes.
He got to show real range by not just being pigeonholed as a horror director, but as a horror director, he created Freddy Krueger. It wasn't just that, Wes was a director. No, he created this character. And without him and Robert Englund, those were genuine parts of my formative years.
Yeah.
Of that. When someone wants to disrespect them, I take it personal. And I know it's not personal, but at the same time,
because you grew up watching them.
It's not just that. They were a part of my childhood.
I remember
when they shouldn't have been a part of my childhood.
I remember Robert Englund when he was doing V.
Oh, absolutely.
He was so, and then you see him go from V as this nice character to Freddy. And it was just hysterical.
Oh, yeah. But Freddy is absolutely iconic, and Robert Englund is still doing iconic stuff to this day. So it's one of those things where, and the fact that Quentin Tarantino said when he said his comments about Wes Craven had recently just died. Yeah. I was not happy about that. It's, you can't tarnish the legacy because Scream wouldn't have been what it's been without Wes being at the helm. You figure Kevin Williamson did the story.
Kevin Williamson, yeah.
Yeah, he did the story, and between Kevin Williamson, the creator of Dawson's Creek and stuff, but him writing Scream and Wes's directing, there was no way that was not going to work.
Every Scream you brought in, not only besides Sidney and all these characters, you brought in young, up and popular characters to these horror films.
It was also, but it was also the first time that you went and your expectations were completely subverted within the first few minutes of the movie, because you're seeing Drew Barrymore And you're thinking, big name, she's going to serve, like, there's no way they're going to get rid of her. And yet she's gone. They take her character out of the equation very early on as one of the early catalysts.
Same thing with Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kristen Bell, all those characters.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's character was a little further down the line.
Yeah.
Because she was in the second one.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same gravitas to it, but it was still a big name, but it wasn't Drew Barrymore at the time. You figure Drew Barrymore was the biggest name that they had at that time. And it was like, wow, they took that risk of taking her out of the equation early. But let's get back.
Let's get back to back. We were talking about Jeff and everything. Now let's get to Jeff Cobb. Now I'll say this. He has a maneuver, they call it the Tour of the Islands. Not for nothing. He didn't even do it. He just said, he was just like a brute.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wasn't impressed with that match. That whole match was phenomenal.
Oh,
but that's the only down part of that match and him in Solo. Because now I have a feeling by SummerSlam, you're going to see Solo versus Jacob for the title.
I feel like we've got one more match between Priest and McIntyre.
Yeah, where we're going to put him in Hell in the Cell.
Well, the funny part is when you actually look at all the PLEs for this year, do you know who's wrestled at all of the PLEs so far?
Priest and Drew McIntyre.
And one other.
Jacob Fatu.
No. John Cena.
Cena, of course.
But the GOAT needs...
the GOAT is on his retirement tour.
Yeah.
That's a horse of a different color.
But, yeah.
Not talking about Wizard of Oz.
But, of course, Priest and McIntyre, they've basically been fighting each other all year long. So,
Whether it's Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, there.
Yeah. It's like, every one of the PLEs, they've been taking each other on or they've gone at each other in some capacity. So, I think they've got one more, but I feel like they're going to burn it out.
Yeah. You need to stop this.
They need to switch it up because I do have to say, because we did have a lot of WWE releases and I am not happy with the releases because it was bad enough when they got rid of
Strowman,
Isla Dawn in the previous. But now Strowman, you got rid of Strowman.
Shayna Baszler.
Baszler was kind of going nowhere because the Pure Fusion Collective, when they got rid of Sonya Deville, they were already they had taken apart the 3-person group. Baszler has kind of just been floating. I'm surprised Stark didn't get let go, but they haven't properly used Caden Carter and Katana Chance. I feel like they completely wasted them.
They gave them one more match, and then they said, bye-bye.
Yeah, which was a huge mistake because those two, I honestly believe they had more in the tank. It's a shame. Cora Jade, it was like, what the hell for NXT? They let go of a lot of good talent.
And 3 of those guys they let go were on, and I was just started watching Evolve.
Yeah. And you know which one really bothered me the most? Out of, Caden Carter and Katana Chance really bothered me.
That annoyed me, I agree.
Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
I felt that one was the biggest.
She was the second one on the list.
Yeah, and that was the one that I felt was the biggest mistake because you had somebody who's been in the corner and been working with Io Sky. She could have come out and helped at any given point, and you've left her in the back.
You screwed her.
Yeah, whether you want to say it was injuries or whatever it was, Carter and Chance definitely deserve to show up somewhere else and get a revival and come back because those two are amazing. And Dakota Kai, absolutely amazing. Yeah. It's like she has a great presence. So I feel like they really squandered their women's division when they're talking about doing a new Evolve.
Yeah.
Because the women's evolution, doing a new pay-per-view for this. What are you doing? You're letting go of some of your top female talent.
You let that go, I agree. And then you finally bring back Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
And everything. I'm like, why don't you stop playing around with her? You played around with her, Katana Chance and Carter, and everything. You give them one more match before they go. The reason they're saying why, and I think it's so totally stupid, was the money issue with Strowman, and not for nothing, he did everything he did. They asked him to says, listen, we need you to be part of the Raven, the family with Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. We need you to cover for Roman Reigns against Goldberg. Okay, I'll do it. We need you to do this. Okay.
Well, not only that, but he said when he first started, he ended up having his leg was paralyzed. He lost all feeling. He got 80% back. So the bulk of his career, he's been wrestling with a leg that's on 80%. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me? With the way he moves for a guy his size and the strength that he has, being a strong man, this was like an absolute shame.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to chime in on who they think the biggest loss from these releases is,
you can email us at
dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word, Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. So let us know what you think of who was the release that WWE did recently that was the biggest disappointment. For me personally, it's like the females that they let go really bothered me. Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Isla Dawn, and
her teacher just came back.
Yeah,
too.
And that's the thing. So you're seeing like a lot of them, but Dakota Kai, like those 4 are my big like, what the hell did you do? Mm-hmm. Like I feel like those were huge mistakes. So now Jacob Fatu though did get to retain his title. But he also looked like he didn't want to win that way.
No.
So it looks like
a little aggravated.
It looks like they're setting up a nice little, hey, we're gonna have new bloodline versus new bloodline because we've got Samoans that they could have brought in. And they, we get it. Tongaloa, Tamatonga, like they're out of commission right now. So
what do you call is out of commission right now?
Who?
What's his name? Bronson Reed.
Bronson Reed, but Bronson Reed's not part of the family.
Not yet.
But
I think they want.
But who do they have that's part of the family that's already in the company? Hikuleo. There are other Samoans that are part of the family that they could have rolled them in, which hopefully we'll start seeing it because, Jacob may need somebody to watch his back because you can't really trust Solo.
From what I've also heard, they have to wait for his brother for all the charges to be done for his brother. That's in MLW.
Well,
now the next match that I want to get to is the women's. Notice I said the women's Intercontinental title, which was
Lila Valkyria
versus the man Becky Lynch.
Yeah,
I thought it went very well. How she won it, even with what the heck happened to her face? She said they were like a broken nose, and I'm like, what the heck happened?
It didn't look like her nose was broken.
No.
But I think she took like a stinger to in the face that like she wasn't expecting that.
And then
I was honestly expecting them to go and take the strap off of Lyra and Becky Lynch taking it, which would have elevated the women's Intercontinental Championship. Chelsea Green did a phenomenal job as the U.S. Women's Champion for the first ever. I'm loving what they're doing with Zelina Vega.
Yes.
But they aren't doing this on major PLEs, which I feel is a very huge misstep.
She just got it. So
no,
let her
but Chelsea Green wasn't. But Chelsea wasn't really defending it at PLEs. So it's one of those things where I want to see more of Zelina Vega. I'm a huge fan of hers. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's who's giving the title more gravity. And
Zelina did it when she won that title.
Oh yeah,
she brought it back to New York.
Oh yeah,
she put it on her father's name.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really that was touching.
But
she was down the block from that was even funny.
Yeah, but the thing was, Lyra going and doing her match against Becky, and I honestly thought Becky Lynch was winning that one, and. The fact that
it looked like that's what was going to happen.
I was not expecting for her to go and start yelling at Lyra's fiance in the crowd.
What the
Becky Lynch was looking like she was going to try to fight.
Seriously? I know.
I'm like, this guy's not a wrestler. So otherwise, it would be funny to see Becky and Seth versus Lyra and her fiance.
Yeah.
Especially since he's not a wrestler, but, So that match was absolutely, like, up there top tier. Now, we got to go and move on because we have another match. What was the next match?
Gunther versus
Pat McAfee. Are you sure that was the next one or second to last?
That was one of second to last. I can't.
Okay.
And then there was
McAfee, though. I got to give him credit for a guy who doesn't get in the ring that often.
No.
He pulled off some amazing athletic maneuvers. I was not expecting it from him. I know he can. I know he's athletic. I know he's a tough guy, but I was not expecting that. But I honestly thought that they were going to have Gunther beat the hell out of him to the point where he was going to be written off and not do any announcing for a while. So, because, sports seasons.
Yep.
Don't ask me which sports, because
No, he won't. No, if
I
he
wouldn't
leaves,
know.
he would leave by August,
Yeah.
September. But we'll wait for that to come.
All right. So then, before the main event.
Before the main event, didn't oh shit, I went blank.
See, that was the problem. It was one of those. It's like
It's just a five
five card match.
Yeah.
Like you've got 5 matches. That's it. So I mean, we'll skip ahead though, because if we can't remember it,
Yeah.
that's a shame.
minute.
But of course,
Cena and Orton.
Cena Orton was a phenomenal match. They went like, what was it, like 20 minutes or more? I loved everything that they did. They rehashed a lot of the old spots. You got to see Cena and Orton like reliving that rivalry that they've had so many times over and over again. And the fact that this time it was playing in a very different way, where Orton is the guy everyone's cheering and Cena's the one that they want to see lose the belt.
Yeah.
He was
He was the hometown hero.
Yeah, but not just a hometown hero. It was Randy Orton, though. He's a phenomenal talent. So it's one of those things where, yeah, he could be a guy who surpasses 17 titles. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think Cena having it first is well deserved.
Yeah.
And the fact that Cena won, I think my favorite of that entire match is the ref gets knocked out. They get another ref in there. He ends up getting knocked out. Everyone comes to check. Instead of sending another ref out, they all start coming out, and Orton starts a volley of RKOs.
Out of everybody.
Everybody took an RKO, which we'll find out. At the time of recording this, we'll find out what happens because Nick Aldis took that RKO, and he was only paid the fine for 2 RKOs, one in advance, not the third.
Yes. And he RKO'd ever. All right, now I know which match we forgot.
Go ahead.
Dominic versus Penta.
Yep.
Why? Because it was a good match.
Oh, yeah. Listen.
Both of them could have won it at any point, but then granted, you have, what do you call out there?
The Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, and then they get themselves in trouble. It's like, you, Curly, Larry, Mo, yeah, put your apple away and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And then,
You see, that's the thing. I got to give Dominic Mysterio a lot of credit. He has evolved so much, and he keeps getting better. And the fact that he's at a point where the fans are not booing him, where he couldn't even get a word in edgewise now.
And you don't hear the "We Want Mommy" chants.
Yeah, now they're actually letting him speak.
Now I'm wondering what movie she's working on in Australia.
Yeah, well, she's got you figure she could be doing more than one movie. So we'll see what happens with Liv. But the fact that the match was interrupted by El Grande Americano, the Starbucks coffee drink. Like, seriously, when you hear that name, tell me you're not
Grande
thinking...
Americano, oatmeal, 2 Splenda.
Tell me you're not thinking like it's a Starbucks order.
Oh my God, that's a $20 coffee.
Exactly.
Yours for $9.95. Except not on our page.
Okay, Shorty G. It's running its course, and it's running really.
And he's using the freaking mask to do.
The mask with having like the steel plate, which I don't even think it's a steel plate at this point. Because
it's just a piece of plastic that at least he could put in his head.
Oh yeah, the thing is though, irritated. I would think it would hurt you just as much as it's hurting them. Like, seriously, if you're in any kind of fighting situation, you're not going to punch someone in the hardest part of their body. When you're hitting someone in the head, you're aiming for the jaw because you want more towards the cheek. You want, like, where it's a little softer tissue. You're not aiming. Are you really punching someone in the forehead? You don't want hard hitting hard.
Didn't you watch Gladiator with Brian Dennehy? You don't punch here. That is the hardest part of the head.
Yep.
Dumbasses.
No, what you're supposed. Yeah. You've been doing it more than I have this episode. Well, listen, I've cleaned up my language a little bit for a temporary amount of time.
Quagmire.
Giggity, giggity, giggity. All right. Now, yeah, but. Shenanigans aside, the match was really good. Yeah. It was extremely competitive, and all the flippy dippy doodah stuff that they were both doing. Oof. But Penta is absolutely phenomenal, and it's only a matter of time before they put a belt on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am a little disappointed, but they haven't announced the draft yet. But we'll see what that happens, because the draft is a perfect opportunity to put Penta and Phoenix on the same show and get the Lucha Bros back together, because the tag team division needs a refresh. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, bringing in Fraxium, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Did you see that match on Friday on SmackDown?
Yes, we have to hit that one. Wow, because. Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. Now, I do have to say, we got to talk about the Thunderbolts, though, because we're like really burning daylight here.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't want to give too many spoilers away when it comes to the Thunderbolts, because it is still in the theaters. Mm-hmm. But what I will say is I loved it. It's one of those movies, when it comes to the Marvel movies, I know I have to go see it in the theater. Otherwise, the internet is going to ruin it within 48 to 72 hours.
No. Go a little lower than that. 24 to 48 now.
I don't know, because there are some people that are at least a little more
lenient.
They'll let you know if they're going to spoil it, or they'll do a spoiler-free review, and then they'll give you a spoiler review after. We try not to do the spoiler thing, and we let you know.
Spoiler alert.
Just in case we let a few things slip. The team, I think, was a great idea, especially because this had an Avengers feel to it, because you've already had all of them introduced in other projects. You're not sitting there and going like, oh, who's Red Guardian? If you saw, what was it?
Black Widow.
You already got to know Yelena a little bit, and you got to know Red Guardian.
And you also got to know her through Hawkeye as well.
Yeah. But you also got to see Taskmaster in Black Widow.
But I was a little disappointed with that. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But Ghost. You got to see Ghost. Why? Because Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then, of course, John Walker, U.S. agent, fake Captain America, or Party City Captain America. But Falcon
and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. So you got to see these characters. You got to know them. They didn't have to spend an hour just explaining who these people were. And we all knew Bucky.
Yep.
So
Excuse me, it's Congressman Barnes. And then you had the Limu, Emu, and Bob.
Oh, yeah. That was the one character that you needed to give like more backstory to. And the thing that most people don't know is the retcon that was done for the Sentry in the comics, because they basically made it that he was there from day one when he wasn't. And it's amazing that they threw him in randomly, but they changed the art style in his book to be able to like make it seem like he was there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting character, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but yeah, he's a character that you're not really expecting, but it's fun nonetheless. But
if you also need to look him up, also just look besides Marvel, one of the specific episodes that you'll find him in, if you have a chance, World War Hulk.
Oh yeah,
because everybody thinks, oh, he's a nobody. That's all I'm going to tell you.
But
just from reading that.
Yeah, but the thing is, out of everyone from this movie, the true standout is Yelena. The character of Yelena was the absolute standout. There is something about Florence Pugh that she really brings out that character to the point where if you look at the regular Avengers, you primarily think of Captain America or you're thinking Iron Man.
Yep.
You see this team, you're not thinking Red Guardian, you're not thinking, John Walker, you're thinking Yelena. Yelena is that, like, she's really the heart of the movie. Mm-hmm. And I think they did an amazing job basically not just replacing Black Widow, but elevating, because the character pretty much was like hypersexualized for Black Widow to the point where now Yelena's not hypersexualized. No matter how much people may find her attractive, it's more a matter of it's the personality. She's funny. So not only is she funny, but she's also a badass. And then catching her when, like, looking back at, like, Hawkeye and her, like, you're funny, Kate Bishop. It's one of those things, the accent, like, the fact that it's, like, she, like, the entire opening sequence of the movie, you're like, Yelena is the shit.
Yeah.
She was probably the absolute best character to come out of that movie.
Agreed. But, I mean, you already knew what Bucky can do.
Yeah.
But then seeing what these characters and everything, it just made me laugh. It just made, and everything.
And the setup that they did give in the post-credit sequence, because this is, I'm going to give a spoiler, because I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but you do see a spaceship and you see the Fantastic Four logo on there. Mm-hmm. That's the spoiler, but we know what's the next movie that's coming out for Marvel, the Fantastic Four.
July 25th.
So tying it together, I think that was a good move, being able to see, like, hey, this is the next one that's proceeding. So it looks like they're starting to get more a grip on the direction that they want to go. And there was some Marvel news of, like, things that were happening because it was announced officially by the woman herself that we are going to get Jessica Jones in Daredevil Season 2.
Did you see the trailer for Ironheart?
No, I haven't seen the trailer for Ironheart. I haven't gotten a chance to see the trailer for Peacemaker either. But I did.
No, that is funny.
But I will say I did get a chance to see the Masters of the Universe, like, teaser, like, little footage stuff that's leaked out there. And I'm a little worried. And I'm concerned, but for probably a reason most people aren't thinking. We've done this shit before multiple times where you have people from another world coming here. I didn't like it in Thor. I wasn't a huge fan in the original Masters of the Universe. And Thor felt like a ripoff of Masters of the Universe. So this new Masters of the Universe, I'm sorry, it's like, they look good. I can't say it enough. Like, the Tila costume looks amazing. Seeing Prince Adam holding the sword with the pink shirt looks great. But when I'm seeing, like, cars and things, I'm like,
no.
Exactly. And that's part of the
Cleveland.
That is part of the problem, because it's just one of those things where, wasn't on our topic list, but I had to bring it up because
that's the one thing I haven't seen a teaser of.
Oh, I think I've sent you. You can check your TikTok messages.
That's where I'll probably see it.
Yeah, I
probably have to scroll up because I got too many.
No, I think I just sent it to. I think today I sent you just one.
Gotta check.
But it's the thing about it is, you have the idea. We can do an entire fantasy. Why are we not doing this? I get the fact that if you look through the He-Man lore, his mother came from Earth as a space explorer. She was an astronaut, through a wormhole, ends up on Eternia, and Marlena becomes the queen. Mm-hmm. They did the comics where they did Masters of the Universe meets Thundercats, and they have this weird thing towards the end where they're multiverse hopping, and Prince Adam he's Superman in one because it was put out by DC. But not only that, but you also have another one where they're in the real world. I'm sorry, I'm tired of this. I don't like, this is where I'm concerned about the movie. Now, the casting sounds phenomenal, and so far what I've seen, like, of the still images, I like the look, but not once I see that it's like, you're not in a forest. You're not in a green screen room with like a bunch of stuff. No, you've got a guy carrying a sword. You've got a girl dressed up as Tila, and they look great. They look like the characters. But then I'm seeing cars. Then I'm seeing like office buildings. That's where I'm like, okay, are you going to bring in Gwildor, the Keymaster, with the cosmic key?
No, Billy Bobby.
Like,
hey man. Yeah,
the tones.
We need Orko. But I will say this: look, like you said, they're bringing Jessica Jones. They're going to start, I think, little by little, they'll start bringing in a new Defenders.
Well, they said that there was contractually, they had to wait 2 years after they left Netflix before they were able to start utilizing the characters. And the fact that they got Daredevil, like, actually, like, set up and done properly, this is the perfect time to be able to bring them in. What I would love to see is if they can do a spin-off series, Daughters of the Dragon, the female Iron Fist that we left off with at the end of Iron Fist season 2. Danny Rand is still around. Why not Heroes for Hire?
Yeah.
Luke Cage, Iron Fist, have the two of them together. If they're going after Fisk, you need those heroes in the background.
And you need to explain Cage, because isn't he in charge of Harlem?
Well, they gave him the nightclub, but at the same time, some of the Netflix stuff doesn't translate over completely.
No.
So it's one of those situations where we'll see what they do with it. I would actually like if there's kind of a time skip almost, because time is already advanced.
Yeah.
And we see Jessica together with Luke Cage with their baby. Give them a reason. Give them a reason to want to help the vigilantes and like protect their daughter.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stories that they can do. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen. And basically it is going to be interesting to see where everything falls. And now that Andor's done, we've got a lot of other things that we can look towards, because we need to look towards the future. And in our next episode, we're definitely going to be looking at Prom Night for Fear Street on Netflix, because that drops on May 23rd, I believe. So that will be before our next episode. So we'll have had a chance to watch that. We'll let you guys know. If you guys are interested in knowing what we're going to discuss about, and you want us to give you previews of what our topics are going to be, let us know by dropping us an email at dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word. Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslayerpodcast@gmail.com. I will post a survey for our poll question is going to be, if you want us to let you know about what the upcoming topics are, it'll be a list of choices of which platform you want. And those choices will primarily be Facebook, if you want us to post on Instagram, or if you want us to post on Blue Sky, or if you want a video version where we say what it is on TikTok. So let us know. That is going to be our poll question. It'll be on the Spotify page, so make sure you actually go to the Spotify page. You don't need to be a member of Spotify. Spotify is free. Yes. You just get commercials. But you can go and scroll down on the page in the app, and you'll be able to take part in the survey. We greatly appreciate it, because any feedback helps us out and helps us make the show better for each and every one of you out there. Not only that, but you can find all of our stuff bi-weekly, because every other week we drop on Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. They drop every other Sunday. And then the following week, the YouTube channel, Blue Dragoon 13, has the episodes there. If you can't wait for the video version, you get that on Spotify. Otherwise, it's all audio everywhere else till YouTube drops.
And how can everybody get a hold of you, Dan?
Oh, that's the fun part. It's easy to find me on all my socials at Blue Dragoon 13. That would be on Blue Sky, on TikTok, on Twitch. You can find the link in all of my social media platforms to go to the Discord page so you can join on the Discord group and take part in everything. We have our Instagram page, Dragoon's Lair Official, that's where all the reels are going, so you're able to see all the short form video content there. Not only that, but I'm on Threads, and so is the Dragoon's Lair podcast. You can follow me, Blue Dragoon 13, or you can follow the Threads feed for Dragoon's Lair Official. It's that easy. I will eventually start posting more stuff to Skylight Social, but anything that I post on Blue Sky will be there. I typically do not use Twitter at all because I just don't like the fact that anything I post on there is used to train their AI. So, because they want to claim artistic expression and possession of stuff. So, not really my cup of tea, but you can go, and if you just want the updates, you can follow me on Snapchat at Blue Dragoon 13, and I just do that to promote the episodes. So, Jimmy, how can they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on Blue Sky, James925. You can get in touch with me on Snapchat, JamesSI0925. Instagram and Threads, JamesH_4, all in lowercase letters. James Haynes IV on Facebook, and TikTok, James0925. You can get in touch with anything. And special shout out, as always, to my boy Mr. Schwartz, where is he going to be at the next Comic-Con for Armored? You find out by checking his page on Insta. And BoobTube Toys for your Funko and Star Wars and Marvel toys in Freehold, New Jersey. Tell yous, I'll give you the push. And if you can, my good little friend Jess is on What the F to Wear on Prime. She's the first episode, so give her a look, give a good laugh, and remember, We Are Family is on Tubi, and I'm on how many episodes? 10.
You mean all of them?
All of them.
That's right. You are on all the episodes.
That's it, baby.
So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Make sure when you go to the YouTube page where you can find me, Blue Dragoon 13, to see the episodes, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel, and leave us reviews on the episodes. If you have questions, comments, please, you can feel free to leave them there. You can send us the email. And if you're listening on Apple Podcast, make sure you leave us a review. Same thing on any of the other platforms. It helps everybody discover the show and find more episodes. And if there's any topics that you want us to cover, all you have to do is send us an email one more time at dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. All one word, Dragoon is spelled with 2 O's. That's dragoonslairpodcast@gmail.com. So make sure you go and you tune in because we love hearing from you guys. We want to make sure that we keep you entertained in these stressful times of traffic, and the summer is approaching. So why not keep yourself entertained while you're on the treadmill or the Stairmaster at the gym, so that this way we can distract you from how many miles you've done, and you can actually put in even more effort there. And with that being said,
yes,
you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Later, dudes.
Get out.